Well, it's December, last month of the year. Couple more weeks post Thanksgiving, pre Christmas. I don't know about you, Coach, but I'm trying to size up my NHL hockey team in St. Louis and figure out if they're going to uh, curve and improve or where we're headed.
I think you get to the injuries. The old adage where you are at Thanksgiving kind of dictate if you're going to be the playoffs or not. I don't know if it holds true as much anymore. I think the teams are just so even, and these players are so. I mean, any given night, whether you're playing or whether you're playing the Avalanche, you have a chance to win. And so I wouldn't give up the ship yet. I will say that it was a pretty dark few days at the household over Thanksgiving in terms of Detroit and Michigan based because the Lions lost. The Red Wings gave up 3 period leads to lose. And the Michigan Wolverines, aside from their hockey team, which is #1 in the country, the Michigan Wolverines lost that team from Ohio. So it was a little somber. We had a lot of turkey, a lot of stuffing, and it's we're in Christmas season, and I think that especially as we look at this season in whether Christmas, Hanukkah, or whatever your persuasion is, it's a great time to be around family and friends and kind of celebrate those connections. And we're going to talk to a guest to start off the show. I think our audience will remember that actually we interviewed Bob Jacobek from the 18U Acton States team, and we talked about the legacy and the loss and the legacy of Alan Brown. And Alan would have been senior this year, and tomorrow is CBC's senior as they take on SLU in a week. And there's the one thing going on. We talked about the 72 acts of kindness and that movement that's taken over Facebook here in St. Louis. Well, Beth Hoshik and Jamie Mullen, moms who are connected to Colin. Jamie, who's not able to join us today, she's a mom for the player on the CBC team. And Beth is a mom on the 18U Acton States team, and also son. Aiden Hoshik plays for SLU. So they're organizing a toy drive or donation. We want to talk a little bit about that, make sure our audience understands where they can go to donate, and obviously talk about that lasting legacy Alan Brown had with hockey, and bring this community together, especially going into the holiday season. So. Grant, let's bring Beth on and introduce her to our fan base here.
Hey, Beth, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
We're doing great. Thanks for joining
Grant,
us on a
earning his paycheck today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So, Beth, you've got a big high school game coming up this weekend, but tell us a little bit about, and tell the listeners a little bit about the toy drive, because that is going to be a component of the game this weekend as well.
Sure. As Jarrett mentioned, it is CBC's senior night. As all sports parents know, it's a night to celebrate seniors, and this is an extra special night because CBC will be paying tribute to Colin, their teammate and friend, who should really be out there on the ice with them. Sorry if I break up a little bit.
It's quite all right, Beth. Quite all right. We totally understand. And And, as we mentioned, Colin would have been a senior this year. And Aiden and my son Brendan also plays on that team, but Aiden was a close teammate for Colin. Tell us a little bit about, how this connects with 72 Acts of Kindness and, really how the Brown family and you and Jamie and the whole community are what we're trying to accomplish here with this.
Sure. I think most people probably know the Brown family started this initiative, 72 Acts of Kindness, as a way to honor Colin and just continue spreading kindness through our community, through our state, through our country, wherever, in his memory. And, no act of kindness is too small. But this particular one, I am sorry, I cannot hold it together. I knew this was going to happen.
It's okay. And, I think we're all in the same boat. Yeah, we're all in the same boat when we're, yeah.
So, before, as you mentioned, my son played with Colin at Afton, and he's also on the SLU team. And before the SLU season started, I talked to him about, wanting SLU hockey to participate in an act of kindness sometime throughout the season. We never really landed on anything because I felt like it needed to be something that felt natural. So when Jamie told me that they were going to have CBC senior night against SLU, we both kind of just started talking and really independently came up with the idea of a toy drive because it just seemed so natural that this time of year, collecting toys for children at St. Louis Children's Hospital just made perfect sense. There was no question about it. Colin loved seeing other people smile and making people laugh. And, this toy drive is just a perfect reflection of that spirit, bringing, the toys to the kids at Children's Hospital. Children's Hospital is a place where Colin was for 4 days. And, I know the staff and the Brown family are very appreciative of all that the staff did for him. Just about this time last year. So,
yeah.
And SLU also has, we have a connection, they're strong competitors, fierce competitors on the ice. I think off the ice, there's a lot of friendships. There's a lot of camaraderie. Last year in January, when we had the Pack the House event at Centene for Colin, there was an Afton game against Littleton that came in town to play that game that we had to cancel. And then afterwards, there was a friendly game between CBC and SLU. So I think there's a lot of history between the two clubs. And once again, like I said, it just kind of all made sense.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important for our audience to know how they can give if they can't be in person at Afton tomorrow night. And obviously, most of our audience is hockey families, and so they're all throughout the St. Louis area at different rinks, even though it's 5 degrees outside. It's actually warmer. I think it's actually warmer in the rinks. So Beth, if they wanted to donate money that would go towards purchasing the toys, can you share how they would do that?
Sure. So they can Venmo money to either Jamie Mullen or myself. My Venmo, I don't know if you want me to say it or they can go to your website, is at Beth-Hasek, HASEK-1. And Jamie's is, I don't know if I have it memorized, at Jamie-Mullen-8, I believe.
Can you, I've got it up on the screen here as well. Can everybody see that on the screen? So at Jamie-Mullen-8 for the CBC folks, and at Beth.Hasek or at Beth-Hasek-1. That's Hasek, HASEK-1. And I got to tell you, Beth, every time I see your son on the ice, I think he should be in net.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he wanted to when he was
I'm sure he's never heard that before.
Right.
I think there was a moment in time when you passed the bag in the Mite years that he's like, I want to play goalie. And I was like, oh no, I don't think I can handle that.
Well, I can't thank you enough. I know we've gotten to know each other this year as our sons are playing together, and obviously Brendan, my older son, who's been a part of the Afton, family since the Eagles days. We've been impacted, by the legacy that Colin's loss has left here, and I think it's brought this community together. I think he's looking down, smiling, because he knows that he's going to be able to inspire people to give back to those folks that cared for him so well. And what you and Jamie are doing is outstanding. So thank you so much for joining us today. And I think I'll be seeing you this weekend.
That's right. Many times.
Yeah. Well, we can't say go CBC or go SLU, but we'll just say go Colin. And,
That's right.
and let's go after this weekend. Let's get a couple W's for that. Well, thank you, Beth, so much for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day. Yep.
Thanks,
Beth,
for having me.
Yep. Well, before we move on, that segment with Beth was brought to us by 5B Designs. St. Louis hockey families and business leaders, if you need custom gear that stands out and stands for something, it's time to meet 5B Designs. Founded by Shannon Brahini, a proud St. Louis mom and entrepreneur, 5B Designs is a woman-owned small business that brings purpose to custom apparel. Whether you're suiting up your youth or high school hockey team or leveling up your company's branded swag, 5B delivers top-notch quality with a personal touch. If you need a team store, not a problem. If you want corporate polos or event giveaways, they've got you covered. 5B makes it easy with fast turnaround, flexible service, and designs your players or employees will love to wear. Check them out at stores.inksoft.com/5B Designs. That's the word 5, and see what purpose-driven apparel looks like. Well, we're talking about the legacy and the goodness that Colin's passing, that tragedy has brought to the St. Louis hockey community. I think we're also have an opportunity here today to talk to some folks who were probably well aware of Colin's story. And they're, hopefully, carrying the torch in terms of give back to this community. We're going to have some hockey coaches on today, and we're going to talk about, from all different levels and all different, areas within our community, within the St. Louis hockey community, kind of look at that mid-season report card for teams and coaches, and really, hopefully have some good topics that coaches, parents, and players can listen to, and as they're grinding it out and getting ready to get into to what we call kind of the dog days of the hockey season, how to get themselves energized and ready to keep playing. So, Grant, why don't we bring our coaches in here? It's gonna be kind of a full house for a round table or square table.
Oh, I love it.
I know, right? Coaches.
How many boxes can you get up there, Grant?
How small can we get?
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Looks like
Good afternoon.
What's up, guys? How we doing?
How's it going? It is, as Jared alluded to, I'll use a football analogy. It's halftime of the hockey season. And that gives you time to reflect, I think, as a coach. You can look back on what you've seen from your players and your kids over the last half of the season, where you are at this exact moment, and then what you want to do for the rest of the hockey season, whether that's as a coach or whether that's guiding your players to ultimately have that hockey stick finish to your season. So let's dig in. Coach, why don't you serve up the first question to our group here, but more importantly, let's go around the horn and have the coaches introduce themselves. Chad, why don't we start with you?
Sure. My name is Chad Imboden. I'm from the Twin Bridges Lightning Club. I've coached 6U all the way up to 12U. I'm coaching 12U B2 right now for our club.
Love it. Dale, how about you?
Yep, I'm at Kirkwood. I've got 2 boys playing there. I've been there since they were mini mites. And my oldest is now in 12U also. He's second year 12U. My youngest is a 10U second year.
And Brett?
Yeah, Brett Knowles, also at Kirkwood. Been in the club about 8 years. Have 3 boys playing. They're all 2 years apart. So Bantam minor, Pee Wee minor, Squirt minor right now. Life's a lot of fun.
On his third mortgage.
Yeah, that's and you've coached, like Dale said, coached at a lot of different levels, different divisions, different age groups, done just about everything, and also serve on our board.
And I don't even recognize you back from our days with Enterprise.
I know.
That was a no-fly. The beard was a no-fly zone, man.
No fly zone back then. Yeah, it's been 15 years probably.
Pretty close, but let's not. I don't think I was in high school 15 years
Yeah,
ago.
there you go. Let's not date ourselves, right?
Well, hey guys, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, you've had a chance to listen to some shows in the past. We had a chance to talk with Tyler Albrecht and Todd Brereton, and so we're really excited to talk with what Bob Mancini and the rest of the guys at USA Hockey says is the actual foundation of USA Hockey, and that's us coaches here that are volunteering our time. Drew and I have been coaching for a lot of years as well, and we always find that this is kind of every year you're at like this junction point where the season it's not going bad, it's not going good, it's maybe a little sideways, and there's been some years it's gone south, but as you hopefully have gotten more experience being a coach, we'd love to hear just some examples or some of the things that you do to keep those kids motivated, keep those parents and families motivated in a positive way, keeping it from going south. And how do those mindsets of both the players and parents and you guys as coaches, how do you keep those healthy in December when it's 5:30 driving out to Pacific or on a Friday night? So Chad, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I think for us, in the St. Louis area and in our club, we've got deck season. We all got to get through deck season, find out where we're at. And then you got to get through your first couple games and see if you're in the right division. And so now we're kind of in this stage, at least on my squad, where we're really focused on establishing our identity and our playing style and holding ourselves accountable to that. It's something I'm trying to teach our team that, when we get down a couple goals, we play our game. And so we're really focused on just sticking to our fundamentals that we practice in and out. In terms of keeping the kids engaged, I'm always trying to throw a new drill or two in every week just to keep them being creative and keep them engaged while still working a lot of our systems. So we're constantly working, our breakouts and our forechecks, but trying to throw in some new skills drills just to keep them sharp for our team.
Brett, what about
Dale.
you? I mean, I'm sorry, Dale.
Sure. Yeah, you say it's mid-season, but it still feels early to me. I mean, I keep track of our lineups through the year, and last year I think we played and this is just for house team, right? Between tournaments and games, we played 42 games, which is crazy. And so right now we're through a tournament, through deck season, through 4 games. So we're maybe a quarter through the year is what it feels like. And I still think I don't even know where my players are going to play. You know what I mean? We're still mixing them up. There's some that have a certain identity. But as far as keeping them fresh, I think Todd does a great job with our practice plans. They do vary, from week to week. And then, from the USA Hockey training that you get, they talk about how do you take some of these drills that maybe you've done, or maybe you're doing them twice in a week, and just modify them. So you're doing some kind of sideline safe house game, and it was safe on Monday. Now the sideline's unsafe, and the players have to make quicker decisions, move with the puck. They're getting too stationary or stagnant. So I think it's just taking those drills, kind of seeing the chemistry of the team and their energy, and then just saying, okay, what do you guys want to do with this drill to make it different than what we did before? And it just lets the game teach the game a little bit differently than it did a couple days ago. But everything that we do is basically, we do a little positional training, but it's all battle. The kids they're playing the whole practice. So I think as long as they're still having fun, come to the rink and battling, then we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, Dale nailed it on the practice piece. That could be the most sluggish part. And I think, as you guys know, with ADM, we're strict about it, and it's done us well. I mean, we've had a lot of success because of it. But I think the biggest thing to me is setting expectation with parents. So you can talk a lot about the kids, but if they're going home and getting the wrong information fed or getting poisoned, it's going to ruin your whole season. So I've always been, any team I've had, and my kids are wildly different. So my oldest is A1 Bantam, my middle is B2 Pee Wee, and my youngest is C1 Squirt, right? So you're going to have different expectations with different parents. For me, it's about that education and keeping it informed all the time. So when we have a 4-team practice at Squirt and the parents are, all pissed off, and you hear them start to rumble. It's about explaining how you can still make that useful. When, we move a kid to defense or to forward and it's not their quote unquote natural position, we got to give them the why. Here's why we're doing this. We want to make them better hockey players. And if we lose a game because of that, everyone goes to the playoffs. So I think continuing to reiterate that message and say, yeah, the kids are going to move around. I don't care if your son's played D for 2 straight years and has never come up and play forward. He's playing forward in a few games, because what I want him to do is be able to learn, here's how you cover when your D-men move up. And this is what you want them to be doing for you. Well, if you haven't played that position, it's really hard to know, how to experience that. So we're pretty religious about continuing to move kids around. And even Dale said, we're into December. We don't even know on some of our teams where these kids slot best. So it'd be silly to just say, hey, we're sticking you in a position and you're stuck there. And it might not even be the right thing. So I don't usually lock my teams in until mid-February, to be honest. And then the last few games, tournament and Blue Note, we try to keep it consistent just for the kids to keep their heads on straight. But yeah, that's kind of my biggest thing, is getting that parent communication on point, starting at the beginning of the season and then ongoing through your group chat and everything throughout.
And Steve, I know you were just away for a second and you hopped back in. We were just asking, how do you keep your season from going south? What do you bring as a coach into the teams that you coach to help prevent that from happening?
Well, I take a little different outlook on it. I'm a hockey guy, but first I'm a leader. If you want a better hockey guy, there's a lot of guys in my organization you could use and have a better hockey coach, but I'm the coach's coach. So really just being a leader for the group. I identify leaders on my team as well, and encourage even 10U, 12U for those leaders to take charge. And when you have that and a little bit of self accountability in a 10 or 12-year-old, it's a huge thing. It's tough, but that tends to keep the whole season on track if they can start to become self accountable there.
Yeah, and Drew, Jared, one of the biggest misconceptions is you've got to have lifelong hockey guys coaching these kids. That is not – there couldn't be anything further from the truth. I mean, I had never coached hockey. I'd never played hockey until I got thrown into it on a Thursday night during evals, where it looked like one of my son's teams wasn't going to have a coach. There weren't a lot of coaches there. They called me at 11 o'clock. They're like, we need you to step up. And I've loved it ever since. But I didn't know a thing. So I can't teach them perfect edge work. That's for sure. We've got other guys that are great at that stuff. I mean, Dale's the edge work master over here. So I've just got to rely on the fact of, life lessons and how does it relate back to the game and all those things, which are to me more important than how they, teaching them a breakout or, a penalty play or a power play.
Well, they knew you went through the management trainee program in Enterprise back in that.
That's right. Give you the tools to be your own boss, Jared.
That's right. Well, yeah. I mean, all great points. I mean, this is why we're having this roundtable, is we've got 6 talking heads up here, but we all have different experiences, different backgrounds, and I absolutely love it. I love the fact. I mean, somewhere Bob Mancini is just like smiling ear to ear. Hopefully he's, as they're putting together Team USA for the Olympics, he's watching these guys saying, hey, this is what we need to listen to these guys and pick guys that are, in that mold. So.
Yeah, and I liked it. I heard 4 very different things from each of you, but all equally important. Chad, you talked about identity and your team having an identity and playing to that identity. Dale, you talked about progressive drills throughout the week. I think that's great. Keeping drills from getting stale while building on concepts. Brett, you talked a little bit about the parent communication piece and explaining why you're doing things. I think that's really critical, especially in a long hockey season. And Steve, I love that you're identifying leaders in your organization and then incentivizing them to take charge. So great answers. 4 very different perspectives, but all equally important perspectives. Let's pivot a little bit. Let's pivot to effort versus execution. But we're going to come back to this because I think we need to pay a quick bill, and then we'll continue the conversation. So this segment of Too Many Men on the Mic is brought to you by Big Bear Tournaments. Are your tournaments this hockey season feeling a little uncertain? You planned your weekend, booked the hotels, and trained hard. You deserve a tournament provider that's as committed as your team is. Forget the guessing games. At Big Bear Tournaments, we believe in clarity and competition. You shouldn't have to sign up and wonder who you'll be playing. That's why we proudly display every registered team right on your tournament pages. No last-minute scrambles, no division surprises, and no unfortunate calls that leave you stranded just weeks before the puck drops. We have great competitive divisions and open, transparent communication. To celebrate the holiday season, we have a great Cyber Week offer exclusively for listeners. The brand new Route 66 Springfield, Missouri tournament on January 9th weekend. We are offering listeners an incredible registration value of just $700. We have a perfect division for your 10U A or B, 12U B, and 14U B level teams. This is a perfect tune-up to face teams from Missouri, Kansas, and Texas before your late January playoff push. Need a reliable place to play on MLK weekend? Check out the fantastic divisions being built at the St. Louis Arctic Blast on the January 16th weekend. Looking for a long road trip? Chicago, Indy, Madison, and Louisville. Still have a few remaining spots. Louisville. Apply today at BigBearTournaments.com and make sure to mention Too Many Men Sent You for special MLK weekend discounts.
Okay, so we'll do a pause right now as we break for commercial. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about effort and execution with our coaches here today. Stay tuned. Okay, so we can still talk. We're cut out right now. So Grant will let us know when we're back on, so we can talk a little freely. Nobody's listening to us, so if you need to swear, Steve, go ahead. It's top left corner, guys. We're back on.
All right, and we're back. We're back talking Coaches Roundtable with Chad, Dale, Brett, Steve, all coaches coaching club hockey programs and club hockey teams, and we're sharing stories, strategies on being kind of around the midpoint of the year and talking about what we can do as coaches, players, continue to improve our players and ultimately have the outcomes that we're looking for at the end of the season. Guys, right before the break, I was talking about effort versus execution. We were just starting to get into that before we got into the commercial break. And so what we mean, the difference between effort and execution is, yeah, I hear what you're saying, Coach Jared. I know that's the concept you're looking for, what you're wanting me to do, but actually executing that down on the ice. The easiest example I can think of, because we ran into it the other night, was net front and getting players to get to the front of the net, especially when we're in the offensive zone, for a lot of reasons, right? Maybe to get a rebound, maybe to screen the goalie, a whole variety of factors. Good things happen when you go to the net. But sometimes the execution of that is a little bit more challenging. So would love to hear your thoughts on taking concepts that we know are good best practices in youth hockey, and here at the halfway point, stressing the execution of those and why those are important here for the second half of the hockey year. So, Chad, have you run into that with your team? And if you have, what have been some of your strategies to be able to help kids take some of that effort, the listening, and really turning it into execution?
Yeah, I found that those two things aren't synonymous, effort and execution. And so generally when I find that we've got an issue with executing, I try to ask why, right? So there's a reason that the player made the decision that they did. And so I want to get inside their head and say, well, why didn't you go there? Or why did you do what you did? and it at least helps me understand that they're either thinking or not. If their response is, I don't know, coach, that's just where I was, well, then they weren't making a hockey play and they weren't thinking. If they say, well, I noticed this guy was here and you told me to always be here, then I'll accept their answer. So I try to always get inside their head. And then again, I kind of refer back to our systems and our team identity and, hey, this is why we want you there. This is where, I try to whiteboard a little, but really we'll try to drill it as much as we can in a practice and show the value of why. And I may also throw a coach in the mix to show them why it's important to be in a certain spot. So I'll show them where that danger zone is by making a coach either be that forechecker or that dangerous player on the ice.
I love that simple 3-word question. I mean, it's powerful in life, not just hockey. But you've got some answers where you're like, oh, well, I've got to do better as a coach.
Yeah,
Dale,
for sure.
Dale, what do you think? I'm interested to hear your perspective since you're the master of edge work. So
Master.
Yeah, Brent says that, then he's going to post about 5 live barn videos of me falling backwards over pads. I'd say for execution, as the season progresses, I've got like themes that I'm trying to teach and trying to get through before we move on to the next one. So we basically start the season off with just pure aggressiveness and just like let them play crazy. Like they just all go for the puck. Now we're in the part of the season where I'm trying to teach them position, and we're talking about execution of whatever it is, whatever those themes are. My favorite go-to is live barn clips. So we'll have these we've got off ice practices where we're doing shooting and other things. And I'll take some time after that practice to say, here's a couple clips from our last couple games, not picking on anyone, but like, watch what happens here. Okay. And then you can explain through the video and you can draw on the screen, like exactly what's going on and kind of teach them from that like third party perspective of what's going on the ice. So that's like the execution piece. And then for effort, I guess I really haven't run into too many problems where the kids aren't giving like full effort that I'd like, but like during practice, when you're running a drill and they might be going lazy on some kind of drill where they're not being pressured, then I just take that drill and I go, okay, now we've got a chaser, or now we've got this other person that's going to come in. And if you don't go fast enough or hard enough, that person's going to beat you there, and let it happen naturally. Because I don't believe that me barking at them is going to get them to like play harder. Like they have to love the game and they have to love to win. And that's like that without that self-motivation, I'm not going to convince them to go harder in that short window. It's like we have to like set up an environment that makes it natural to happen. So that's the way I do it.
Steve, what do you think? We've had 2 great feedback from both Dale and Chad. What do you think when you have kids that maybe are giving excellent effort, but the execution is just off? Or what are some things that you and your coaches down at Merrimack, what are some tips and techniques you use that you can share with the rest of us Steves here?
Well, I like what Chad said about the why. One thing that I've realized with this generation is that, when I was playing, the coach just said, go do it. And we went and did it. But now you get a lot more effort and execution if you can explain to your kids why you're doing it. And they want that knowledge. They're a youthful, they're a generation of, they have every bit of information in front of them. So they want that information. They want fed that, and it helps them a lot. So the why is a big thing. But as far as execution, one thing we do in practice, 3 lines on a team, if we do a 5-on-5 battle drill or something like that, we take that line that's sitting out and we say, hey, watch your guy playing your position. Telling me where, so they're virtually watching their position play in front of them. And that's been really helpful this year with my kids, is they get a lot better idea of where they're supposed to be. And then they can give me feedback on, hey, Joey's playing right wing like I am, but he's not going here, he's not going there. So that's been pretty helpful to get them engaged and see the effort.
Brett, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's keeping things wildly simple. I think what I've found is I've been on teams when I wasn't coaching where the coaches try to get overly complex with things, and it can be on the bench during games or in the locker room before, where if you're talking to them before the game, you've got about a minute or two of real quality time that they're not zoned out, thinking about the playlist, thinking about, what it's going to be like when they come out. You've got to hit them quick. So we really focus on having 2 to 3 big concepts and not trying to overcoach, especially on the bench. We've all seen those benches where the coaches are coaching to them the whole time they're on the ice. They're not listening to you. So it's great when they come back, if you have a coach that can grab them and say, hey, what happened there in real time? And, why did that happen and all that? But if you're trying to coach them on the ice, I think you're doing more harm than good. So it's really about doing it individually, not to the whole team, doing it off the ice and keeping things really simple in the locker room. One other thing that I started doing 2 years ago that I bust out from time to time is, instead of doing a pregame speech, and we don't do it for every game, but once in a while, I have them basically on their toes saying, what's the one thing you're going to do better today to benefit the team, and go in a circle. And then they know they've got to come up with something and they can't repeat. And it gets them really thinking about, what's my biggest way to impact the team today? And usually they're spot on. It's pretty amazing that the stuff that they absorb just throughout the week and through practices, usually each one of them's listening and gets the right answer.
I love it. And I think Steve kind of summarized it when he was talking about the generation and how these kids are thirsting for knowledge and reasoning. And the through line through all of your feedback and discussion points was two-way communication. And, I loved when Dale said, the kids got to want to execute. The kids got to want to compete. But the thing I love what Dale said was about creating that environment. So I know Drew is probably feverishly taking notes, and I'm going to play back the tape for our, because we're the 2 biggest thieves in St. Louis hockey when it comes to coaching. Guys, we're getting a little short here on time. The sun's about to go down outside, and I think we all probably got to get to rinks here sooner than later. Thank you so much for sharing your afternoon here with us. We'd love to have you all on again, maybe later in the season. But I really believe, like, if we can get from each of you, again, this is our whole little, it's like a pyramid scheme here for coaching drills. Get each of you send us some of your best coaching drills. Drew and I will draw them up. We'll put them on our website with full credit to all of you, but no compensation. Guys, thank you so much. Good luck to Kirkwood. Good luck to Twin Bridges. Good luck to Merrimack. Drew and I can say that now that we're no longer coaching for the Rockets. But thank you guys so much for supporting. And more importantly, we talked about legacy of Colin Brown before you all came on, and just that give back to the St. Louis hockey community. You guys are St. Louis hockey. You guys are USA hockey. You guys are doing tremendous things for these kids that they don't even know about it, and they won't know about it until they're much older out there doing probably what you guys are. So thank you all.
Yeah. Thanks for having us. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See ya.
Yep. All right, Grant. There we go. See you guys.
Gotta love technology.
It is so cool. I mean, we would have been sitting around in a basement with a 9mm camera trying to do this a couple years ago, and now we're able to be all over the world if we want to be.
Look at you with a 9mm camera reference.
I don't. It's just things just pop into my head, and it's just sometimes dangerous.
I just want to see Dale's edge work. That's all. That's what I want to see.
So I'm going to Kirkwood when he's practicing. I've found his team. Of course, I'm gonna go because the one piece of live. Although I love the Live Barn thing. I think you've got a Live Barn clip that we got to show the boys and girls on our team. That little top shelf cheddar. But we're coming towards the end of our show here, but we've got we mentioned it earlier in the show, obviously, with the toy drive and the legacy and memory for Colin Brown on senior night at CBC. That also happens to be a huge game. It's the Mid-States game of the week. You and I had a chance to go out and talk to both teams. Give me your thoughts on this game and what we should all be excited about.
Well, I'll just share what I heard from the coach and from the players. From the coach's perspective, I heard the word ferocious. which tells me that this is just going to be a full tilt game. From the players, I heard we've had this circled on the calendar. So it really, the takeaway for me was for both of these clubs, this is probably one of their biggest games of the year, if not the biggest game of the year, at least during the regular season. So a lot of awareness. I think both teams know that they're really in for a big battle. I also heard the word respect utilized as well. So while it's ferocious and while it's going to be a really important game for both teams, it sounds like it's going to be a clean game. We'll see. We'll have to watch the Zebras and look at the score sheet afterwards. But that's what I got from my discussions. How about you?
Yeah, I think the respect factor is absolutely there. The players and coach trends at CBC are fully aware of the team that they're lining up against. I always say when you're in these situations, the team that lost the first game has an advantage. And certainly CBC, they lost a close game earlier in the season to SLU. They have that front and center. They know that this is a division game. The outcome could very well determine who you play in the playoffs come February. And they threw around another RE word, not just respect, but revenge, in a good way, right? I think they've lost their last two to SLU going back to last year. They definitely, and there's a lot of friends on both teams. So, a little opportunity to have a get back game for CBC, even the series up for the year, and hopefully give them a better positioning as they go into the playoffs. This is a big game, and it's a big game all across mid-states this weekend. We've got some big games on Friday night, as you see, and certainly some big games over the weekend. I know you and I with Ladue, we've got Vianney tomorrow night, which is it's going to be a benchmark game for Ladue. And then go right back into a rivalry game. You won't be able to really sit and think about that because you go back into this rivalry game against Webster on Saturday night. So, and that's the same for everywhere across the metro area. So we're excited, obviously, to be bringing the Mid-States Game of the Week. And again, thank you to our sponsors, Vantage Credit Union, Chicken and Pickle out in St. Charles, Joe Watson of Stiefel Wealth, and then Mattingly Lumber. Huge thank you to those great supporters of high school hockey here in St. Louis.
Well, and another exciting announcement is the boards are up at Chicken and Pickle. So if you are a youth hockey family at the 6U or 8U level, you might just have your practice out at Chicken and Pickle, where you get to skate outside. And on those boards, you will see KLIS. You'll also see Drew and Jared and the Too Many Men on the Mic podcast logo out there. You might see a few others, but you'll definitely see those two.
Well, and I put it out on Instagram today. I'm challenging all these youth hockey families, coaches, as they're out there playing their 6 and 8U games. Get a picture of your players next to our logo. Send it to us or post it on Instagram. And Drew and I will keep a tally, and come the end of January, we'll do a drawing, and somebody will get some pretty sweet swag for the end of January. So, we're trying to grow youth hockey here in St. Louis. We're trying to build this community, and let's have a little fun with it as well.
Well, and here's some fun. You may not know this, Coach. Did you know that our friends over at Big Bear Tournaments know both Dale and Steve?
I think I might have known that, but why don't you tell me more?
No, it's great. Well, so both of them, as leaders of their clubs, have booked tournaments with Big Bear, had a great experience with it. So there's a connection there. I'll also throw out that Big Bear and the Chicken and Pickle folks, I think, are having some discussions, because if you're a youth hockey team and you're coming in from out of town, coming into the St. Louis area, perhaps with a Big Bear tournament, a great place to go get food, a great place to take a break as a team, have some fun, have a meal, enjoy your downtime, is over at Chicken and Pickle. So we've got some good things going between boards being up, between great tournaments at Big Bear, between food while you're on your downtime. So I like it all. It's all happening.
Well, we're at the end of our show here. I'll have one more shameless plug. We had a great gig last Friday at Fallon's in Olivet there. We had a lot of fun with the crowd. It was a Black Friday extravaganza with football and hockey plastered all over the TV screens. We're going to be back at Fallon's this month on December 23rd. That's a Tuesday, but most people are probably off work the next day, so it's kind of like a Friday as a Tuesday. We'd love to see you out there. Come hear some great music. Maybe get a few requests in, and maybe play Name That Tune or What Song Is That with Drew and I. But we'll be at Fallon's on December 23rd. We'll pump that up more as we get closer to it. But Drew, thanks as always, man. It was a great show. Great talking with you. Thanks to Beth Hoshik and Jamie Mullen for coming on talking about the toy drive for Colin Brown and CBC Salu's game. Thanks to Steve and Dale and Chad and my buddy Brett Knowles for joining us on the Coaches Roundtable. Grant, play the song. He shoots, he scores. Thanks for listening to Too Many Men on the Mic. Hockey's more fun the better you get at it.
See you next week.